Tonight at 10, we sit down with Madison's mayor to discuss the wins and the issues for Madison's Metro transit system.
And more details emerge from a deadly shooting on UW-Platteville's campus earlier this week.
Then 20 years and $14 million later, the Rock County Children's Museum is becoming a reality. What it could mean for children there and their community.
That is all coming up on News 3 now at 10. Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Sarah Carlson.
And I'm Eric Franke. Madison Metro has seen a number of changes within the agency this year. Ridership numbers are growing, but driver contracts are still unsigned and the future routes are in limbo.
Tonight, our Maddie Heimsch sits down one-on-one with Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway to discuss it all.
We've put a lot of effort in to make the bus system better for folks.
Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway says the approximately $200 million spent on phase 1 of bus rapid transit and the added costs and efforts of electric buses and fare systems are paying off.
1.3 million rides in the month of April. So I think it's a real vote of confidence in the BRT system.
Those 1.3 million rides surpassing pre-pandemic levels for the first time after numbers plummeted in spring of 2020.
Ridership is up over the entire system, and that is in part due to the network redesign and, some of the behind-the-scenes work that we've doing.
That work, she notes, isn't over.
We are in the middle of putting together the north-south bus rapid transit expansion. So again, that's Route B, and we are continually hopeful that we might actually get federal money for that.
The second route is quoted at $150 million. The city hopes 80% of that money will come from the federal government.
We're going to keep working on that.
But as riders and routes grow, so do safety concerns for Metro drivers.
There's no level of violence against drivers which is acceptable in the city of Madison.
Since the beginning of the year, at least 5 drivers have been physically assaulted on the job.
And so we have taken a number of steps to try and address that.
Mayor Rhodes Conway says fitting each and every bus with a plexiglass barrier will be included in Metro's capital budget.
We're also providing de-escalation training to drivers.
It all comes as Metro drivers are continuing to work without a contract. The Teamsters Union and the city being in negotiations since January.
We're going to do everything we can to, reduce the number of incidents on our buses.
Reporting in Madison, Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Maddie. And we have a statement from the Teamsters about those ongoing negotiations. It reads in part, quote, "The Teamsters bargained the strongest labor contracts for our membership. Workplace safety is a critical piece of this, along with the best wages and benefits. We expect the mayor of Madison and Metro Transit to protect our members and compensate them for the services they provide."
Well, we do have some breaking news at this hour. Madison police confirm that one person has been taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound. Officers were called to the area of South Park at Regent Street, just north of the Unity Point Health Meritor Hospital. Stay with News 3 Now and channel3000.com for further updates. Feeling a little more like March out there today than May. Meteorologist Blaze Keller now from the Madison weather patio, hopefully not getting soaked out there. He's got our first warning forecast, Blaze.
Not yet, but we're still not done with the rain. It's going to continue as we head overnight, but just a little bit here falling across southwestern Madison. If we take a look at radar 3000, we got more heavy rain moving out of northern Wisconsin, and this is going to be the last bit of it as a high pressure system moves on in. So a little dry towards Waunakee, downtown Madison and Cottage Grove, but Sun Prairie, that heavier rain is moving on in along with Waterloo, and then across southwestern parts of the county into Belleville and Mount Horeb, some more of that lighter rain. We also find some more rain in 2 parts of Iowa, as well as Lafayette, Greene, and Grant counties as well. Back further north, we've already talked about it, but that's more of that consistent light to moderate rainfall that's going to continue to push off towards the south here over the next few hours. For Thursday, we're looking to start out in the 40s underneath mostly cloudy conditions, but we will see some breaks in that cloud cover as we head into the afternoon. Winds could still be breezy out of the north at times, but we may see some low 60s pop up Thursday for sure there on Friday as that high pressure system sits overhead. What does that mean for the upcoming Memorial Day weekend? We're tracking it all out in the full forecast.
Sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. And now to continuing coverage following the deaths of 2 students at UW-Platteville's Wilgus Hall. Officials say the incident is now being investigated as a murder-suicide. On Monday, 22-year-old Kelsey Martin, a psychology major and assistant resident director, died from a gunshot wound after being airlifted to UW Hospital. Hallie Helms, also 22 and an elementary education major, was found dead with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Both graduated from UW-Platteville just last Saturday. Counseling services are available for those affected, and UW-Platteville police ask you to call them if you have any information related to this incident.
A Janesville man is facing attempted homicide charges after a hit and run earlier this month. Officers responded to Deerfield Drive, where 2 motorcyclists were riding when one was struck by a Ford Taurus. Now, the driver fled the scene. The motorcyclist sustained serious injuries. Investigators later found the vehicle and believe the crash was intentional. Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay has died at the age of 65. The team says he passed peacefully in his sleep with no cause of death released. The Irsay-owned Colts won a Super Bowl title in 2007 and oversaw 16 playoff appearances. Known for his philanthropy and passion for the NFL, Irsay spent over 50 years with the league. He is survived by his 3 daughters, who co-own the team and will carry on his legacy.
And now to a story we first broke on Channel3000.com. Solo artist Ace Frehley, who is also known as the Spaceman from the rock group Kiss, has canceled his performance at Bratfest coming up. In a post from the Bratfest Facebook page, they say that due to illness, Frehley will be canceling his performance this weekend at the festival. VIP ticket holders will be contacted with next steps. The post also said to check the Bratfest social media pages for other updates, as well as a large announcement coming tomorrow morning. Well, UW Health and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield have reached a new multi-year agreement. The deal follows months of negotiations and now guarantees uninterrupted care for Anthem members at UW Health facilities. That includes hospitals, clinics, fertility services, and the UW Medical Foundation. The contract spans employer coverage, Medicare Advantage, Medicaid, and ACA marketplace plans. Well, Paul Noble with Anthem says that, quote, "We're especially pleased that this long-term agreement helps ensure members can continue seeing the doctors they trust while providing more stable, predictable health care costs for years to come."
Unity Point Health Meriter nurses are preparing to strike next Tuesday after contract talks with the hospital stalled last week. Now, what was expected to be a final bargaining session on May 26th was canceled by the union, and the hospital says the next proposed date, May 29th, would come after the strike begins. About 1,000 nurses are planning to walk off the job, citing safety concerns and staffing shortages. The hospital says it's negotiating in good faith and plans to remain open during the strike.
Meriter is a great hospital and does a lot of wonderful things, but there are some improvements that we could see would benefit the safety of our patients, the safety of our nurses, and the safety of our work environment.
Now, Meriter released a statement saying, quote, "We have robust plans in place to maintain regular operations and are bringing in qualified, highly skilled nurses who are trained and oriented to our policies and procedures."
Just one day after announcing her candidacy, Judge Chris Taylor is receiving endorsements. Liberal Justices Rebecca Dallett, Jill Karofsky, Janet Protasewicz, and Justice-elect Susan Crawford all voiced their support for Taylor's candidacy. Judge Taylor previously served as a Democrat in the state assembly and as the public policy director for Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin. She will take on incumbent Rebecca Bradley, who is running for a second 10-year term.
A new Marquette Law School national poll shows 46% of Americans approve of President Trump's job performance. That's the same as it was in March, but his ratings shift sharply when broken down by issue. Just 34% approve of his handling of inflation and tariffs, two top economic issues for voters. In contrast, the president earns higher marks on border security, with 56% approving of his policies, and on the broader question of the nation's trajectory, just 42% believe the U.S. is on the right track.
Well, imagine the proceeds from the sale of a new, beautiful home all going to fund research and care for kids with cancer. Well, that is exactly what the St. Jude Dream Home giveaway is all about, and News 3 Now is proud to be a partner. Today was floor signing day at the Dream Home in Wanakee, the first for St. Jude in Wisconsin, where all of these contributing vendors and suppliers had a chance to write a special message and do some handprints to St. Jude patients. Victory Homes and the dozen or more trade partners in the area signed the floor in one special room. Now, everyone from electric, painting, home furnishings, and more were giving 100% of their parts and labor back to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis. And when I asked why, the answer was simple, especially for Amanda Knupp from Electric One, who lost her own daughter at the age of 8.
She taught us a lot about life, and so when we had the opportunity to be involved with St. Jude's and to help another child and another family walk that same journey that we were walking or had walked, I wanted to be able to contribute and do whatever we could.
So Victory Homes let us know that this house will be in the Parade of Homes in mid-June and for sale around that same time.
Well, after the break, we look ahead to Memorial Day, what the weather will be like this coming weekend in your First Warn forecast.
Then a dream is becoming a reality in Rock County. A brand new children's museum is one step closer to being built. We'll tell you how it will impact the community and children there.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Welcome back, everyone. After nearly 20 years, Rock County is finally on track to get a children's museum.
That's right, a museum that would impact more than 26,000 children under the age of 12 in Rock County. Our Ellie LaLiberte shows us what a museum could mean for the children there and their community.
Good job.
In the back of her store, MH Vintage in downtown Janesville, you'll find Madeline Wilson playing with her daughter.
Yeah, I have 3 girls. They're all under 6.
Those girls would love another place to play, like a children's museum. And just a couple of streets away from her store, the building blocks are being placed.
This will be the first place where we could have a large group of children come together.
There's never been one in Rock County.
The old First National Bank is turning to this. And inside the future museum,
We are targeting kids 0 to 8 years old.
John Westfall, the president of the Children's Museum of Rock County, explains his vision.
This is about early childhood education to augment public and private schools in Rock County.
Schools that the state says could use some work. The Wisconsin report card for the 2023-24 school year shows Rock County's larger school districts, Beloit and Janesville, are only getting 2 out of 5 stars.
If we can get kids at that age interested in learning and fired up about learning, the graduation rate skyrockets.
Kia Carlin is with the Madison Children's Museum.
Social emotional learning has gotten a lot more attention since the pandemic, when kids were really separated from one another.
According to the Association of Children's Museums, the unique learning space helps kids develop social emotional skills in ways that are, quote, overlooked by traditional schooling.
Here, kids really can find what interests them, play, move their whole bodies, and meet and play with kids they've never met before, who may be of different ages than them, from different backgrounds.
That's exactly what Westfall has been trying to do for nearly 2 decades.
We were ready to go in 2008, and then the economy tanked, General Motors shut down. We put it on the shelf.
But after all these years, they're finally on track.
Things are going to change down here, for the better.
The museum is estimated to have an annual economic impact of roughly $4 million to help businesses like Madeline's.
Being able to bring more people from out of the area down to these shops to say, hey, we have amazing restaurants, we have really fun boutiques, we have vintage, we have everything that a downtown needs.
Everything downtown Janesville needs.
And I think it's almost going to be like an art piece.
With exhibits representing everything Rock County is.
We got to buy like a water exhibit. That's the Rock River, okay? The Rock River, agriculture, manufacturing. That's Rock County.
Reporting in Janesville, Ellie LaLiberte, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Ellie. And thanks to a recent donor and matching campaign, the project is getting close to being $500,000 away from the $15 million goal. So if you would like to donate, you can visit kidsatplayrc.com. And Westfall is expecting a June groundbreaking and construction beginning. Well, we had another cold, wet day out there in southern Wisconsin. A very slow warm-up, though. We have details from meteorologist Blaze Keller with the full forecast.
Emphasis on the slow warm-up. We're going to sit in these 60s for a little bit longer, but folks, the 70s and even the 80s, that taste of summer is going to return. It shows up on our extended forecast. Rain is going to end overnight as a high-pressure system moves on in. That high pressure is going to give us some sunshine on Thursday, but expecting more sun and even warmer temperatures by Friday. All the green is the measurable days of rain here in Madison. We started off strong at nearly 2 inches of rain, and then we went basically an entire week and some change without any. Then we picked up another inch, setting a new daily rainfall record for yesterday, just over an inch. That puts up our total to nearly 4 inches of rain for the entire month. So if we didn't see any more rain in the Madison area, we would be fine. We'd accumulate more than what we normally do. However, that is not the same for a lot of Wisconsin, as we're shorted still about 1 inch to 2 inches of rain. So this recent low pressure system and these dreary conditions, they have been beneficial. While it may not have made great outdoor weather, but that's sliding eastward, and it's actually going to force that high pressure system out of Canada and move it overhead. And that means that we see more sunshine as we go throughout your Thursday. A mix of partly sunny to mostly cloudy. Winds will still be out of the north and at times breezy. But as that high pressure system moves out of Canada and slides its way into the plains, it's going to lessen those wind speeds. Starting out partly sunny on Friday, we should continue to stay that way as we go into the end of the work week. Once again, we are underneath an omega blocking pattern. We talked about this before. We're going to have to talk about it again because that is what's set up. Our current low pressure system, the one that brought us the rain, is going to turn into a nor'easter and slowly move its way out of New England, while another low pressure system will be parked off the Pacific Northwest. In between, that high pressure system coming out of Canada. So all the warmth is going to be pushed up into Canada. You can see how far north these yellows go, indicating that warm air. So what would otherwise be cold air has to move, and that's the reason why we're going to be a little bit cooler than average over the next couple of days. But this omega blocking pattern is not going to last. As we go into the middle of next week, it starts to break down, and that means we start to warm back up. Until then, we'll be drier than average. That high pressure is going to act like a big weather shield, so no severe weather in the forecast. But it does look like we'll be about 50 to 60%, at least a chance to be drier than normal as we look to end May. We're also sitting in between some cooler than normal air and some warmer than normal air. Again, this will start to move on in as that pattern breaks on down. That's going to happen as we go into the last half of your upcoming work week. So there you're seeing it. Our forecast highs compared to normal, those are all 60s. It's starting that following Thursday that we break really into those 70s, and we might do it the Wednesday after Memorial Day, but until then, 60s, some scattered showers possible Sunday, Memorial Day, and Tuesday. Nothing to cancel any outdoor plans, but you definitely want to take that umbrella with you just in case.
I saw an 80. That's all I could focus on.
Right. It's way out there, but it's there.
But it's coming.
Yes.
Thank you, Blaze.
Imagine playing Little League baseball. Remember those days when you were waiting for summer to show up? Sure wish we could play some baseball. They got a roof though in Milwaukee. So
they do, and what's that saying? Water always finds its level or returns its level. Coming up in sports, Brewers, well, they hit back to reality. The bad inning that cost them the game is next on News 3 Now. In 99 days, Wisconsin will kick off their season, and there isn't much better than playing at Camp Randall. Maybe one thing. How about playing at Lambeau Field, where Luke Fickell's squad will open up their 2026 slate, and they'll do it on Sunday, September 6th. Now, it's the first meeting between UW and Notre Dame since the Shamrock Series back in 2021. Remember, the Irish won that one. Now, the last time the Badgers played at Lambeau, they beat LSU in 2016. Well, for the third straight season, the Packers will hold joint practices with two teams during training camp. Green Bay will head to Indianapolis for a session with the Colts before their second game of the preseason, and then they'll host the Seahawks the following week for a joint practice in Green Bay. The reigning WCHA regular season and tournament champs now know the road back to being on top of the league. And it starts in the end of September with a road series at Bemidji State. Wisconsin's conference home opener is 2 weeks later when they welcome in Minnesota Duluth to Madison. Now the big ones on the schedule, of course, Minnesota. They come to Laban over Halloween weekend to renew the border battle rivalry. Then Ohio State, well, they travel to Columbus December 5th, and they'll host the Buckeyes on February 6th. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals was a wild one between the Oilers and the Stars. Dallas trailed 3-1 after 2 periods, but scored 5 goals in the third to take a 1-game lead in the series. Well, speaking of crazy, Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Knicks and Pacers was one to remember. Indy down 2 with under 10 seconds to play, and Tyrese Halliburton steps back and then gets the friendly bounce at the buzzer. Now his foot was on the line, so it would go to overtime, and in OT, the Pacers would take Game 1, 138-135. Brewers going for the sweep of the O's, bottom 9, down a run and down to their last out, and Caleb Durbin puts one in play deep enough for Sal Frelick to slide in safely to send this one to extra innings. But things, well, they got bad in the 11th. The Orioles scored 4 runs in the frame, including this 3-run bomb. Brewers fall in extras 8-4 the final. And former Badger setter Izzy Ashburn is headed to Creighton to join the Blue Jay volleyball staff as an assistant coach and recruiting coordinator. The 2-time captain helped lead Wisconsin to 4 Final Fours in the program's first national championship. Ashburn is UW's all-time leader in aces, matches played, and sets played. We're back after this.
Saying more money, more problems? If that's true, America is about to have a lot fewer problems.
Colbert's all new with Natalie Portman. CBS Tonight.
And on News 3 Now this morning, Josh Sprider talking with organizers for Bratfest in the 608. Who's on the stage, how to get your tickets, and a large announcement from the festival. And if you get your groceries from across the ocean, we'll look at how tariffs could more than double their costs.
And finally, a rather bizarre meet is heading up to Indianapolis.
That's a meetup.
A meetup? Oh, meetup, sorry. You know, it's late. They're going to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Friday. Check it out, Wienermobiles. All 6 Oscar Mayer vehicles will race on the track for the first time ever. They're representing Frankfurters from, I don't eat meat, so I can't say these words anyway. Frankfurters from various regions of the country, from the Southeast slaw dog to the Midwest.
It's a chai dog. I think that's Chicago hot dog, right?
I'm from Chicago. I guess I don't call it that. Well, you could pick your favorite on DraftKings and try to win part of the $10,000 prize anyway.
You never tried to be a hot dogger when you got out of UW? Remember those things were all over town back in the day.
One of my friends did from college. She did that.
Now they get to race at Indianapolis Motor.
They don't look aerodynamic.
No, I don't think that they would be very aerodynamic, and they all must have the same engines, right? So it's all on the driver, because everything's
Can't wait to
equal.
watch the race.
All right, final check of the forecast. Let's get out of this mess.
Yes, and we will start tomorrow. It's going to start off cloudy, but by later in the day, not only will temperatures be a little bit warmer, but we will see some more sunshine as well. The sunshine and warmer temperature trend continues throughout the weekend. 70s, though, right by next Wednesday. Scattered shower can't be ruled out. Memorial Day.
All right, Blaze, thanks. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10.
Have a good night, everyone.